can't do that anymore. There's nothing left to give. There's nothing left to give. It is unconscionable that your country does this every single day. And I wish the 20 and 22 and 23-year-olds understood this. They have no clue as to the tidal wave of debt that they're going to pay back. Yes, ma'am. Well, no. The question was, is it true that China won't lend us money anymore? That day could happen. Understand, right now about 16% of our debt comes from China. China's lending us money. Most of the debt is coming from us. We still borrow most of our own money. But the percentage of China and foreign-born debt grows. You know, we could get to a day where China says, I'm done, or China says, pay up. China needs us in a number of areas, but it's a legitimate security fear. It's something to be aware of. Yes, sir. Father.
Yes.
Anybody who wears the cloth, I call father. I'm a Catholic.
That's right.
He's a Lutheran. It's close enough. That's, by the way, for all of my opponents, that's a joke. I'm laughing.
Yeah. Sorry, my voice is a little scratchy. But, no, but I watched the debate, so-called debate, the joint press conference.
It was not a debate.
You want to call it. And I was so disturbed by Tammy Duckworth's non-answers to all the questions that she was being asked, especially that babbling, flailing thing about the school strike in Chicago. What is she? I listened to it 8 times. I couldn't figure out what she was saying.
And I'll let you continue. Here's the context. It was a day before I think the strike was settled, and they asked us about the Chicago teacher strike. And Tammy earlier in the day had said, when asked, well, I'm really torn. Rahm Emanuel is a really good friend of mine, and the teachers union gives me money, so I'm really torn as to what I think should happen. And I was pulling my hair out. What about the kids? Who cares about Rahm? And who cares about how much money you get from the teachers union? What do you think about the strike? More importantly, what do you think about the Chicago public school system right now that fails its kids? Darn near 50% of the high school high school kids in Chicago don't graduate. 80% of Chicago 8th graders are not proficient in reading. It is a failed system. Not because of teachers, because of the teachers union, which does not have the interest of kids at heart. But to that point, Tammy is more concerned about Rahm Emanuel and the unions where she gets money.
Okay. If you haven't seen it, I beg, watch the thing, listen to it, see if you can figure out what she's saying. Besides trying to be on both sides of every issue. But here's the thing that really upset me about the
In the teacher strike? Okay, here's a real, can I give you a real politically incorrect answer?
The question was,
I'm going to give you one. The question was, in the strike, who did I favor? Well, real simple answer, I favored the kids. So if I were mayor of Chicago, I would have tried to do what President Reagan did in the air traffic controller strike in the 80s. I would have given the teachers... You don't like that answer, do you? I would have given the teachers 24 hours to get into the classrooms, and if they didn't, I would have fired them all and hired brand new teachers. That's what I would have done.
27?
Yes.
All right, so anyway, I'll get to my point.
Go ahead.
During the press conference, whatever, I thought Tammy made an intensely insulting personal attack toward you. She called you status quo. And I heard that and I thought, is she's so clueless. I mean, I wish you were status quo. If you were status quo, our debt would be paid off, deficits would be gone, responsibility would be the number one thing. I wish you were status quo.
I actually, there were a few times in the joint appearance where I had a hard time not laughing. But near the end, when she accused me of being status quo, me, freshman in Congress, who's limited myself to 6 years, who turned down my congressional health care, I turned down my congressional pension, I sleep on the floor in my office, I've held more town halls than any member of Congress, the Democratic Party hates me, my own Republican Party really doesn't know what to do with me because I'm not the status quo. I found that to be very humorous. There is a reason, folks, why Tammy Duckworth has turned down about 10 to 11 debate invitations. She turned down a debate invitation from the AARP. She turned down the League of Women Voters. She turned down Trinity Lutheran Church in Roselle. She said no to about 10 to 11 groups because she genuinely doesn't like to get in front of people and have to take their questions. A lot of politicians don't. She really doesn't. It's to the point now where only once, on October 9th, only once has she agreed to get in front of real live voters with me. Again, I'll just go back to what I say. Republican or Democrat, nobody should be elected this year if you don't have the decency to get out here and campaign every day and get in front of voters all the time. And she just won't. She's going to California next year. She travels the world, just not the 8th district. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
To kind of springboard off of your answer to this gentleman about having to vote on several, why isn't there a law that like you said, that, every issue should have a separate piece of legislation, so we truly know where you stand.
There should be.
But secondly, and I ask all of my elected representatives that, and I think as the people, that's what we want, that's what we're telling you that we want. Secondly, when are we going to defund these countries who are, sympathetic to Al-Qaeda, killing our ambassadors, and we're paying for it, for their aggression toward us, and then we take out a $70,000 ad with our money, apologizing for a freedom of speech video that was made. Why are we sending these countries money? And I'm sure there's a big, long answer to it, but is anyone in the House, which appropriates funds, correct? Is anyone going to, or will you, propose?
Couple quick answers. The House voted a month and a half ago to cut funding to Pakistan by about a third. The House has voted, a number of times to cut foreign aid to darn near every country except Israel. When the Muslim Brotherhood took control of Egypt this summer, I led a letter and 40 of my colleagues signed the letter that said, we will cut off all funding to Egypt unless the Muslim Brotherhood agrees to abide by its long-standing treaties with Israel and respects Israel's right to exist. Here's the problem. We do a lot of these things in the House, that's it.
Right.
They go to the Senate and nothing happens. So there's a standstill. Another point. We always know and knew that the media loves Obama. And they're going to do everything to get Obama elected. But this latest incident of this terrorist attack at Libya, it has blown me away with how biased the media is. I mean, think about it. Think about it. Unrest. Embassy after embassy, there's unrest. Our embassies are breached. In Libya, 4 Americans are killed. And yet the media is obsessed with what Mitt Romney said. With what Mitt Romney said. You've got an administration, hold on. You've got an administration that for a week or two now has said the reason this all happened was because of that crazy anti-Muslim bill. That's why this all happened. Finally, they had to admit a day or two ago that this was a planned, calculated, terrorist attack. And the media hasn't even pushed them on this. You've got the President and the Secretary of State spending what? $70,000 to $80,000 on ads in Pakistan, letting the good Pakistanis know that we disapprove of that film. This is outrageous. And the media is protecting him. They're not asking him questions. We were attacked on American soil. Our embassy is considered American soil. And yet nobody's asking him questions. Nobody's asking why we weren't protected. On an anniversary of 9/11, they're more obsessed with what Mitt Romney said. I asked everybody a year ago, I said, if you're a God-fearing man or a God-fearing woman, say prayers every day for whoever the Republican nominee is going to be. Include me in those prayers if you want, because they're going to go after me with everything. But I knew at the time the media is going to do and say anything to get Obama reelected. I don't know what you think of Mitt Romney, but man, I feel sorry for him. I feel he cannot get a fair shake. It's not even close to fair. They're more obsessed with what Romney did when he was in high school 40 years ago, and they don't even look at anything regarding this president. So yes, to answer your question, what our government should say to Egypt and Libya, real simple. Sometimes life is so simple. If you can't keep our embassy safe and the Americans who work in that embassy safe, we will pull that embassy from your country. Second point, if you can't control the radical extremists in your country, we will cut off funding to your country. That's it. Leave them our cell phone and tell them to get back to us. That's it. We need that kind of clarity. Pipe down back there. Thoughts, issues, questions? Yeah, sure. Quickly.
In May of 2011, Obama killed Osama, and the Muslims said they'd have retribution. And what's going on today is the retribution. It's not the movie that they said that they saw. They are getting back at us. But here's the fine point. I understand that the State Department told the Marines they cannot have ammunition to protect your embassies. No, I think Obama is a Muslim. He's protecting his people.
Let me stop you, because I don't like to get down this road. This is a real important election. Don't get personal and don't get nasty with anybody. Obama and Romney. That's what the other side does. Here's what I'm concerned about. We're at war. We're at war with people who want to kill us. I want Americans protected. That's what I want you to be focused on. If you get personal in this election, Walsh, Duckworth, Obama, Romney, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to listen to you. I want Americans protected. Questions need to be asked. We are at war. We're at war abroad and we're at war here against a radical strain of Islam that's trying to kill Americans. It's your government's job to protect us against that. Plain and simple. That's what your focus needs to be on. And I have a problem with the premise of your question. Obama didn't kill Osama. American SEALs did. And Americans did because we... Don't you ever, my friends, say that. For 11 years, over 2 administrations, and hundreds of government agents, hundreds of intelligence people, hundreds of our men and women warriors tracked this guy down. The credit goes to all of that. That's who the credit goes to. Other thoughts, issues, questions? Yes, sir.
I just want to say something.